Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2598 of the Cabral Concept. These are our Cabral HouseCalls, the weekend edition of the show. My chance to answer your questions, and we get to about a dozen every weekend, 5 to 6 on Saturday and 5 to 6 on Sunday. All things, as I say, wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. I'm just opening up my big Word document. For those of you who tune in on a weekly basis, you know that I don't do any prep work for the show because honestly, if I were to do prep work for every question, it would probably be an hour or so for every question because that's what it usually takes to ask all the right questions of an individual. Do a little research if I need to do any research, and then have a really long explanation of what may be going on, and as well as what labs they may want to run, and then if not, what protocols they may complete. But what I'd love to be able to do is share with you about 25 years of experience now, overseeing hundreds of thousands of appointments, and just try to give you a great place to start. So no medical advice, no medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis are being given. But I hope that you understand that I'm going to always do my best for you. And I'm going to give you an alternative to what you might be hearing right now from your conventional medicine doctors. And that's okay. It's not like they have bad ideas. They're looking out for you as well. I just want to share with you a different perspective that you may not be getting. All right. So let's dig in. First question here is from Ryan. Ryan says, "Hi, Dr. Ball. Love your podcast and your Equal Life products too. My question is for my father. He has ESRD because of untreated hypertension. For everybody out there, ESRD stands for end-stage renal disease, which is basically the kidneys are failing. And the kidneys, they filter all of the blood in your body, and they help with waste products, excreting what ultimately will be urine from the body, etc. Okay, so his BP was 284 over 165, his last trip to the ER. He gets dialysis. He eats relatively good for a 65-year-old, lots of fruits and vegetables. He likes beef, chicken, and pork. He's not overweight, small belly. Sorry, just wanted to give you as much info as possible. Ever since he started dialysis in years before, his uncontrolled blood pressure in return gave him CKD and now ESRD. He feels so wiped out afterwards and gets cramps in the back of his legs and feet, maybe something revitalizing a little and replenishing him, and maybe electrolyte products or shakes of your line. Love the podcast. So incredibly grateful to have stumbled upon your podcast." Thank you, Ryan, for writing in. I appreciate you. And, let's see if we can give your dad some help. So when you have blood pressure of 284 over 165, all right, so high is 135 over 85. Right, that's high. So systolic is the top number. Don't want it over 135. Really don't want it over 130. And that's the systolic. And then the diastolic is the bottom number. And you don't want that over 80. So his is that's uncontrolled high blood pressure. I'm assuming he's on medication. I'm assuming he's on diuretics. It's super challenging to help the kidneys if the blood pressure is this uncontrolled. I mean, it's so high right now. So the number one thing that you can do is work with your conventional medicine doctors to lower that blood pressure as quickly as possible. I can't give you any medical advice, but again, we need to figure out what's going on. Is it high levels of cortisol, high levels of stress? He's not overweight, but there might be high levels of omega-6s and not of omega-3s, but he might not be able to take the daily omega support because maybe he's on blood thinner. So it's there's so much life-threatening medical-based issues right now that you really have to work with medical. And then obviously, can we incorporate longer fasting? I don't know, because again, you have to get the permission from medical doctors. But I'd be using proteolytic enzymes. I'd be doing prolonged fasting. I would be doing more. I have a whole podcast on blood pressure, but I'd be doing, again, I'm not saying that everybody should do a green juice fast or a fruits and veggie only fast. But people that are in this type of condition where the kidneys aren't even working, you have to be so careful with protein. This gets so nuanced because whenever I say hey, cut out meat for a little while, people are meat's the most nutritious thing in the world. And meat is not a religion, okay? Meat is not a religion. It's not God, right? It is food. And we're using food to help heal people. And so you have to understand is that meat is the hardest thing to break down. Higher levels of protein can affect someone when they have end-stage renal disease. So people oftentimes, and this is really important for our IHPs to hear, and I know a good amount of our audience are health practitioners in general. You cannot stop your mission of teaching true health and wellness just because there are people out there who want to scream from the fences that, meat, you don't know what you're talking about, meat's the most nutritious thing in the world, et cetera. I eat meat. I try to explain that to people, and then they're like, well, you eat meat, then why are you saying anything bad about it? I'm like, no. It's who are we talking about right now, right? We're not talking about the whole world. We're also talking about levels of that. Some meat is good. 2 pounds a day? No, not good. Can you get away with everything in your 20s? Yeah, you absolutely can. Can you get away with everything at 65 years old? Not even close, right? So, Ryan, keep on keeping on. Work from both a natural health perspective as well as the conventional medicine, and let's make sure that your dad gets the dialysis, and again, at end stage, you might need kidney transplant, but let's keep on keeping on. But remember, have to fix the high blood pressure to make sure that even new kidneys would be able to function, all right? We're absolutely pulling for you, Ryan. All right, Kenzie's up next. My boyfriend is getting deviated septum fixed. They want him on antibiotics because of its surgery. Any tips for supporting the gut during? Any thoughts on the surgery? Yeah, so one thing that's super important, this was written in on January 12th. We're about 12 weeks behind on getting to all your questions just because we go in the order they are received. I have done multiple podcasts on what to do when you take antibiotics, and I've also done one on deviated septum. So I have a deviated septum, and it's terrible. Like I do not get a lot of oxygen through this right nostril. Here's the thing though. Yes, I do wish that I had proper breathing function out of my nasal passages because it would make it much easier for me to breathe with my mouth closed at night, right? And that's very, very helpful in order to get deeper into the parasympathetic nervous system and proper CO2 and O2 balance in my tissues and body. But I do not want to have the surgery, potentially have something else go wrong, which is what happened too many years ago, over 20 years ago, when I had my adenoids taken out when I was 21, and have to go on antibiotics because I fixed my gut, I fixed my body, I fixed my immune system, I fixed everything. I feel great. So I'm not willing to risk the deviated septum. Now, having said that, I understand and I support people when they want to have that fixed because breathing is fundamental. So I get it. Again, I've done a whole podcast on what to do for antibiotics. If you ever can't find a show, please write into cabralsupportgroup.com. They'll get you that podcast. They'll go through using the healthy gut support, using the clean gut probiotic, when to do it, and also you might need to do a modified CBO protocol or CBO protocol if there's digestive distress, okay? So short answer is the short answer is the CBO finisher, which you can find at stephencabral.com/shop. And you can begin it while using antibiotics. Try to use it away from the antibiotics, typically 4 to 6 hours, or you can start just after, but I actually recommend during antibiotics that you start to use it to not let yeast and candida overgrow. All right, Shannon's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. My 12-year-old son has been suffering from post-concussive syndrome since May 2022. He has daily pounding headaches, accompanied sometimes by nausea, dizziness, difficulty concentrating. I had to withdraw him from school, and his mood is very low, and he cries a lot, which is not normal for him. My heart is breaking as I don't know how to help him now. We've seen a chiropractor, osteopath, functional medicine practitioner, naturopath, and acupuncture, cranial sacral therapy, massage, and tried so many different things such as essential oils, food eliminations, high-dose omega-3, magnesium, homeopathic remedies. His sleep is poor, and he is not himself in so many ways. I feel like this nightmare will never end. What am I missing? Please give me hope that this will get better. Okay, so I'm very sorry to hear about your son, and especially at 12 years old, we really feel for all children in our practice, for sure. So here's what we know. These post-concussion syndrome or symptoms can last for a while until the inflammation really subsides. So it seems like you are absolutely on the right path. What you want to do is just make sure there are no blockers. Blockers are things like heavy metals. Blockers are things like food sensitivities, gut dysfunction, imbalance on electrolytes. All of those things are blockers. So if you wanted to just do a simple one, you would run the starter kit with your son, and you would run the food sensitivity test. All right, so like those then you'd be able to figure out most blockers. Omega-3s, I absolutely agree with. Magnesium, I absolutely agree with. I would use full spectrum magnesium or common magnesium, and I would use a product called magnesium threonate that we typically don't use. We only use it for brain-based needs. I would use potentially a little bit of liquid melatonin. Now, again, you're as parent, you get to decide. That's your role. You always make the right call. If it was my child, I would want to use that because I know that it can be very helpful as a powerful antioxidant as well. Do you have to use a lot of it? No, but it's really, it can be an amazing tool for speeding up recovery. I like the cranial sacral therapy. I like some of those essential oils in there. I would make sure he's taking a daily activated multi or the daily nutritional support. He would only need 1 scoop, not 2 scoops of that. And he would only need 2 capsules of the daily nutritional support, not 4 capsules, because that's the adult dosage. I would, what else would I look into? Make sure his gut is healthy. So the daily probiotic support, or again, looking at that first, run that starter kit first. I think you're doing a lot. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, it's time. And I know that it's been almost a year, but you're still under the year mark and you'll get there. Keep hope alive. You will get there. No doubt about it. You'll get there for sure. All right. Leora is up next. Again, breath work, biofeedback. Those things are too great. Shannon as well. All right. Leora is up next. My 22-month-old son has been diagnosed with severe congenital neutropenia with the mutation of the ELANE gene. We are currently investigating whether it is cyclic or not. Is there anything natural I can do to boost his neutrophil levels? Moreover, he has chronic ear infections. Every time he has a virus, he gets an ear infection. Of course, the doctors always want him on antibiotics, but I found that onion juice works well to clear up an ear infection. However, is there anything I can do to prevent the ear infection occurring in the first place? His doctor believes it is fluid buildup that doesn't release due to the architecture of his ear. Okay, well, all of that's absolutely possible. Like all of that's possible. So, all right, let's go through it. Severe congenital neutropenia with a mutation of the ELANE gene. All right, so again, I want to share with you a couple things. For people out there who don't know what neutrophils are, neutropenia, neutrophils, neutropenia means not a lot of production of a specific white blood cell called a neutrophil. So if you don't produce a lot of neutrophils, that means you're going to be more susceptible to infections of all kinds. Okay, so that's basically what congenital neutropenia means. Congenital means born with. It's part of the ELANE gene that you're speaking of. Now, there's some silver lining here. This usually resolves itself. Again, so here's the thing. I want to let you know that this is not my expertise. So I just want to share that with you, and I'm always honest. Not my expertise in severe congenital neutropenia. However, I will tell you this. I believe, and you'll have to just double check me on this, but I believe that this is also something that resolves itself with most children in 1 to 2 years. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I will look that up just because I don't have the ability to do that, as I'm answering questions. So the second part is this: always look towards the gut to make the gut, to ensure that the gut function is proper. Now, your son's only 22 months. It's difficult to do that. It honestly is, because even if your son's gut wasn't good, we wouldn't be able to really go through a CBO protocol, even the children's one, because that's really meant for 3 years and up. But what you could do is you could absolutely look at maybe using a little bit of a children's probiotic, a liquid one, or maybe even putting like a quarter of a capsule in some water, or if you're still nursing, breast milk, and you could just get a little bit of good probiotics in there. Another one couple great probiotics for children that don't need to be used long term, but is B. infantis, as well as L. reuteri. And those are great. They're really great for kids with gut issues too. So they can just be used for like anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks maximum, and they seem to be very, very helpful. All right, now on to the ear infections, because again, I want to make sure that there's not a fungal-based issue in the ears or anything like that. Onion juice is great. We don't use onion juice, but it's a great one. We use garlic oil. I have a podcast on garlic oil for ear infections. Nutribiotics, it's a company. They make a drop, an ear drop that I've used with my daughters. Not everybody does this or believes in it, and I totally get that. 1 or 2 drops of hydrogen peroxide can help dry things up in there, kill any bacteria. I think probably 22 months is a bit young to be doing that. Let's see what else. A rice pack. Basically, you heat up dried, uncooked rice in a pan, put some lavender essential oils on it, or whatever essential oils you'd like. You wrap it in a towel, elastic tie it, or whatever you want. We have hair bands in my house for days because I have 3 girls in my house, and you put it on the ear, and that helps dry up the fluid as well. So these are all very helpful things. And then in terms of the neutrophils, you want to look at, again, anything that would be lowering the natural immune system. Food sensitivities like dairy or eggs or gluten, anything like that may be an issue, because sometimes it is just with young kids. So that's what we're looking for. Again, we're looking for the blockers, making sure the gut is good, and we're just keeping an eye on these things because we want to improve. But at the same time, this might be something that can be grown out of, fortunately, in just a year or so. So we'll have to look at that. All right. Kenzie's up. Hello. Any tips on cutting down EMF when living in an apartment? I can't shut off my Wi-Fi, and obviously I live next door and above the other apartments. Yeah. So Kenzie, this is another one, just like I chatted about with the antibiotics. Lots of shows on EMFs, like lots of shows. So you can go to stephencabral.com/podcast, type in EMF, and you'll be able to find those shows. I did a podcast with Nick Pinot. That's a great one on cutting down on EMFs. I've talked about products for your cell phones. I've talked about products, EMF proof in your bedroom. I've talked about an EMF blocking blanket. So many great things. And you can find the resources at stephencabral.com/resources. The Soma Vedic is there. The Safe Sleep products are there. You can check out. Then lots of free podcasts on EMF proofing, basically what happens when you live in an apartment. I lived in Boston, like Wi-Fi everywhere, all sorts of different condos around me. And I lived there for 15, 16 years. And so I was always, obviously having to deal with that and doing my best to mitigate EMFs. And so I've got, again, 20-minute plus podcast, probably 4 or 5 on that will give you everything you need to know. Really concise. So hopefully that's helpful. We're going to keep it at that for today, but I will be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. I hope you've been having an amazing weekend. I thank you for your support, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.